Speaking tonight, this living nightmare for so many continues for the thousands of innocent Christians and religious minorities as they wait for help, they wait for food and military support. Many of them have poured into Syria on their way down from that mountain, and who knows what awaits them there. Senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palcott is in Erbil, Iraq, and just getting back from the front lines.
Martha, President Obama might be saying that the refugee siege on Mount Sinjar is over, but even he admits the job is not done. There are a couple of thousand ethnic minority Yazidis still on that mountain. Officials say they need help getting down, and there are tens of thousands swamping refugee camps away from the mountain. All told, there's something like 1.5 million refugees in northern Iraq, a few 100,000 here in Erbil alone. Obama has also admitted that ISIS remains a threat to the country. We confirm that today in a town near here. Take a look. This is the town of Makmur. Just a couple of days ago, it was run by ISIS militants. Then, the Kurdish Peshmerga fought them back. But the residents haven't come back. That's because we are told the militants are just a couple of miles outside the city limits. All around the town, signs of the battle. U.S. airstrikes on an ISIS convoy are also credited in helping defeat ISIS in the town, but they remain a threat in the area. They've cut off water to the place. When we were there, a convoy of Peshmerga were hit by an ISIS IED. 4 soldiers were injured. Just an example of the guerrilla-style approach to these fighters. We talked to a Peshmerga commander. He wants the U.S. to continue airstrikes. He wants it to send heavy weapons. As for more U.S. boots on the ground, he says he doesn't need it, as long as he gets that firepower. President Obama did say there'll be more weapons coming to the Kurdish fighters here. Small comfort for these folks who really have their hands full. Martha.
Greg, thank you. So the Vatican, in a rare move, says that it will support the use of airstrikes against ISIS militants, and that breaks a long-standing position of disapproving war. They released this statement: military action might be necessary, and, quote, intervention now, before it is too late. Joining me now is Francis Campbell, former British ambassador to the Vatican. Sir, welcome. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you, Martha.
How significant is this move and this statement by the Vatican?
Martha, it's a very significant development. As you know, the Vatican and the late Pope John Paul II was firmly against the war in Iraq in 2003. This is a very significant development, but it's in line with basic Catholic teaching that in order to preserve peace and justice, force may well have to be used. And the words coming out of the Vatican over the last 48 hours are indeed very serious. A letter from Pope Francis to the UN Secretary General, asking the UN Secretary General and the international community to use all the mechanisms and international law at the UN's disposal to actually help avert this crisis, to help tackle it. And that includes perhaps a Chapter 7 operation, which would be peace enforcement. Not peacekeeping, but peace enforcement.
What does that mean, the Chapter 7 agreement?
Yes, that is correct. But what has gone on here, and what I think is alarming to the Vatican and indeed to a lot of Christians and a lot of people worldwide, is why this situation has been allowed to reach this stage. ISIS went into Mosul 2 months ago. On the 18th of July, they issued an ultimatum to Christians on the 18th of July to either pay a tax, convert, or to face the sword. So we do have a crisis at the moment on a mountain, but we also have ISIS currently in control of major towns in northern Iraq, yes, where there were, or indeed perhaps are, significant religious minorities, including Christians.
And what are the other things that I'm sorry, I just want to ask you this question. You know, in terms of Muslims, there's a call from the Vatican to moderate Muslims to rise up against this group as well. Is there not?
That is correct. The Vatican's Interfaith Department issued a statement 2 days ago, basically calling on people, in particular Muslim leaders, to show unity and to step forward and to condemn this in really unambiguous terms. And I think that is essential to actually show that interfaith dialogue is alive and well, that ISIS, numbering perhaps 15 to 16,000 fighters, some of them coming from Europe, that they do not represent Islam. They do not represent dialogue between religions, and they need to be roundly condemned by all religious leaders, and that's what the Vatican is looking for.
Francis Campbell, thank you very much. Strong words
Thank you
coming
very
from the
much,
Vatican.
Martha.
Very important.